Ansel Adams, the father of landscape photography. While he is dead, RIP, he's taught me several things about landscape photography that have helped me a ton. Ansel was a pioneer for what we now know as landscape photography, starting out as a documentary photographer, going into these national parks and showing people what was actually there. He basically created the genre of landscape photography, so why not learn from one of the best? Now, over 15 years of being a photographer, I've looked at Ansel Adams' quotes and dissected them to see exactly what he meant and how I can use those quotes to take better photos, and I want to share those lessons with you today. Hey guys, my name is David Johnson, and in this channel we talk landscape photography, helping you get better photos. So if you're into landscape photography, you're in the right place, so subscribe and ring the notification bell below. You don't take a great photograph, you make it. This is one of the most beneficial Ansel Adams quotes that I've ever heard, because when I was first getting started in photography, and maybe you've been here too, I started out by taking just pretty pictures. And I would get to a location that was amazing and I would take a photo, try to get a good photo, but it just turned out that it was a pretty picture. The problem was, and what Ansel was talking about in this quote, is that pretty pictures are just pretty pictures until you make them into a great photo. Making them into a great photo means that you're understanding composition. When I started listening to this quote and really dissecting it in my mind, I started to think about different ways that I could make a great photo. I turned to composition and my photography changed forever. I spent multiple hours at every single location. Now, I'm not saying that you have to spend multiple hours at every location, but if you just spend an hour or 2 hours at a location, or get to a location an hour before you're actually taking the photo, and really making sure that you've got a great composition or have two predictable photos in mind that you're trying to capture at that location, you're in a great spot. This tip helped me slow down and understand what looked good in a photo and what didn't. Boiling it down, here's what I discovered about this quote and making a great photo. All you have to do to make a great photo is spend time in an area, take multiple photos, and after every single photo that you take, just look at that composition and say, what do I like about this photo? What do I not like? Composition is as simple as increasing your attraction to your actual subject and decreasing distraction away from your subject. So you're dialing in that composition each time, really cropping in your vision on the actual subject, simplifying the photo until it makes exact sense. There are no rules to great photos. There are just great photos. This is another quote that kind of riddled me at the beginning of my photography career, but it made more sense as I continued to progress in the quality of the photos that I was taking. And I want to share it with you. I don't know if you're in a location and you feel bogged down or restrained by a lot of these composition rules that you have to follow. Composition rules are more like guidelines that you need to follow for your photography because they help you get in the right mindset for photos. Like I said earlier with that quote, making a great photo takes a little bit of work, and these composition guidelines or rules that you should be following help you get in the right mindset and start capturing more direct photos on your subject. Now, the guidelines instead of rules can be broken, and that's what he's saying here. When you have an instinct in photography, maybe you've taken a photo and you've followed the rules and you see one small piece of the landscape that really speaks to you and you find interesting, he's basically saying if something piques your interest or if something makes you say, wow, get your camera out and take a photo of it. Don't ignore photos just because of rules. Great photos happen all around us. Ansel Adams also said that he just gets to locations in time to click the shutter when God wants him to. So this is a great quote of just seeing something, saying wow, taking a photo, and then working with that photo to make it great. That's exactly what Ansel is talking about here. There's nothing worse than a sharp image of a fuzzy concept. What is he talking about here? Obviously, focus is a very important part of landscape photography. And if you want to know how to make better focused pictures, go ahead and click on the link in the video description for a free ebook that's going to help you do that. That is the Landscape Photographer's Guide for Sharp Photos. So go ahead and download that for free right now. While focus is super important, and there's nothing worse than getting a photo that you thought you nailed out of focus, what Ansel is saying here is there's nothing worse than a sharp photo, but a cluttered photo. There's no direct view that takes you exactly to the subject. Now, while I'm just thinking about this off the top of my head, I have another free ebook that you can get. It's called the Foolproof Foregrounds ebook that's going to help you with compositions and what I'm about to say right now. So you can download that in the video description too. Basically, if you have a poorly constructed composition, it's a fuzzy concept. The viewer has no idea where to look in the photo, and they struggle to navigate through an image. Thinking about composition this way completely changed my photography, because composition is nothing but a map that you're making for your viewer to know exactly where to look and where to look in what order. So a leading line pointing directly to your subject is a great way to use composition foregrounds to have a clear concept and a sharp photo instead of a sharp photo but a fuzzy concept. Landscape photography is the supreme test of a photographer and often the supreme disappointment. Now, what is this all about? Is this some old guy rambling because he's getting old in age and he's, bitter at the world? No, absolutely not. What he's saying here is he's trying to pull back the expectations of photographers. This is very relevant in today's world because we see so many photos on social media that are the highlight reel of photographers. When you are a pro photographer, like myself, who I've been for 15 years now, I have hard drives that are littered with terrible photos, bad light, times that I thought I was going to go out and capture the best photo when ultimately I came back with absolutely nothing. It's the chase that helps landscape photographers stay motivated. A lot of times, landscape photographers are going to go out to take photos and come back with absolutely nothing to show for it. But that's what makes the times that you're going out and taking great photos and actually coming home with great photos so memorable and so exciting. This goes with another Ansel quote of him saying that about 12 photos per year is a really good crop. Now, he was photographing with film, so it's a little bit different for us now with digital, but this is true in the same way. Great photos don't always happen. They take time and patience, and it's all about the chase of trying to get those great photos. It's okay to be disappointed, but don't go into every photographic shoot just thinking that you're gonna get an absolute banger of a shot, because oftentimes you come home with nothing. That really helped me curve my expectations when I was getting started in landscape photography and thinking that I was going to come back with something amazing every single time when ultimately I didn't. And it was frustrating, but this quote really helped me out in curbing those expectations. The single most important component of a camera is the 12 inches behind it. This completely blew my mind when I heard it, because we are so inundated with information, marketing tactics from camera companies saying you've got to get this new camera. It has 1 more megapixel than the one you're already using. This is going to change your photography forever. Ansel is saying that's not true at all. The most important component of a camera is the 12 inches behind it. That's your head. And thinking through a photo, understanding what makes a great photo, how we've been talking all through this video about it, and understanding how to relay that information to create a great image. Cameras are, of course, important. They're fun to use. I love thinking and talking about cameras as much as anybody else. But ultimately, if you don't know how to use your camera, or you're not creative with your camera, you're not pushing your camera to the absolute limits of its ability, then you're not pulling as much out of your photography as you think you are. Think through the shots instead of thinking that a new camera is going to solve your problems. There are always 2 people in every picture, the photographer and the viewer. This completely changed how I thought about photography, and kind of alluding to an earlier quote that I shared with you, Having your viewer as part of the photo really helps you think differently about how do I show this person exactly what I'm trying to say with this photo. Now, without trying to get really hippy-dippy, thinking about the joy of photography and the artistic form of photography, which is very important, you have to think about a photo as you're trying to tell a message to somebody. So how are you going to do that through your photo? Again, this foolproof foregrounds for landscape photographers guide is really going to help you. That's below in the video description for free, but it's showing a person exactly where to look and in what order. So if you find something in nature that piques your interest and that you want to show in a photograph, but you're cluttering it with all this other stuff, this person looking at your photo, the viewer, is going to be confused about the photo. Make it as direct as possible and lead them exactly where you want them to see in the frame. Now, I've mentioned those free guides in the video description, but I also want to direct you to this video that tells you a ton about composition and how to create better photos.